Julie Bartkus, workplace transformationalist and best-selling author of Childcare Business Success. How are you doing tonight? We are here with the Childcare Business Success Show, and tonight's topic is one of my favorite. Well, I have so many favorites, but this is all about staff demotivation. And joining me on this show, our Chief of Happiness, Loretta Chalk, is going to be here with me for a little bit. And then I'm going to be taking you on solo to really talk about why demotivation is just as important to understand in your childcare program as motivation itself. Because so often I'm asked, Julie, what can I do to motivate my staff? What can I do to motivate them? And I want to really turn the tables around and say, well, sometimes it's not so much about what we need to do to motivate them, but we need to understand what's draining their motivation. Because most of our staff come into our workplace, at least if we're hiring somewhat right, they should already be motivated, right? They have high levels of motivation. You selected them, you get them started, but then something happens. Well, something or some things. So if you're here joining us this evening and this sounds like a really great topic that you're going to benefit from, please make sure you say hello. My team is in the chat with you, interacting. Let us know that you're here. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And I'm going to welcome our Chief of Happiness up into the studio with me in just a moment. But, this is a big topic. And if there's something specific that you're interested in learning tonight, let me know. Also, if you are able to join me via video and microphone and you would like to have a little chat or ask your question live, let me know or let Jonna know that you want to join us live. And Jonna, if anybody does say that they want to join me live, shoot me a little Facebook message and we'll post a link for you that you could come into the lobby and actually be a guest in the studio. So I'm going to mix things up a little bit to where you can actually be one of my featured guests. And as you know, we've got prize giveaways that we're going to be giving away to you this evening. And I'll have Loretta come on up and share with us what some of those prizes are. We've got our typical engagement prize as well as our group interaction prize. Hey, Loretta.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How was your Labor Day?
And she is saying that she is wonderful in the midst of a storm. So if she could be wonderful, then, we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But Loretta, I'm going to turn it over to you for just a moment. And can you let everybody know what our prize giveaways are? So we're going to do the typical things with the video and the brownies. So you got that?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to you for a moment. And I'm going to go grab my earbuds. I forgot to put those in. So here's Loretta, our Chief of Happiness, who you all, I'm sure, know and love. And if you love the interaction that Loretta provides in the group, please let her know in the comments that you absolutely love it. And then I'm going to come back on and we're going to talk a little bit about staff motivation. So let me turn this over to Loretta.
Ooh, wow. I feel so powerful. Oh, my goodness. Well, we always love interaction. And to celebrate your interaction, we will give away brownies to the person who is the most engaged, asking questions, and just really kind of tuning into the topic for that evening. So we've got brownies waiting for you. We're not going to sit there with a tally and mark down every single thing that someone says, but those of us that are watching and paying attention, we're just kind of noticing that you are engaged. So be that person that's super engaged and really having fun, and you can win brownies. And then the second part of our prize giveaway is the video that you can do with whatever you would like for your center. If you're celebrating birthdays of your team or your children, or you want to do something that's promotional or marketing related, it's absolutely up to you. And the person that wins that is the person who is the most engaged outside of the Childcare Business Success Show. So when Julie is posting questions, or when I am posting questions and you're answering all of them and you're keying in, sometimes people have completely personal questions related to their program and they're looking for ideas. If you have ideas and you're sharing those, that's being engaged. And we're watching that and tracking that. And the person who is most engaged over the course of the week between shows will win that engagement prize. So we're very, very excited about that. We love to give things away. We love to send brownies. They are seriously the best brownies. in the world. I've had a lot of brownies because I love chocolate, and they are yummy. I haven't had these brownies for a long time because I keep sending them all to you. So make sure you're engaging, asking questions, sharing ideas. We're here for you, and you're here for us, because what you share from your life and your experiences may help someone else who's here to grow and develop that more positive mindset as well. So we really want to hear from everyone. We want to give you a chance to engage and win some brownies. Boy, I wonder where Julie went. Ah, there she is.
I was letting you have the stage for a little
Oh,
bit.
wow. I thought,
You
maybe
did
she went to
great.
go buy new earbuds.
No, I just had to go put them in. I keep forgetting about the
Ah,
earbuds because everybody gets an echoing when I don't have them in. So I was like, forgot those. You know, I keep trying to improve on one thing when we do every show. And this is how I encourage everybody to look at what you're doing with your childcare business or your life too, is to really be thinking and keeping that list of one thing you want to do differently next time. So many people stop because they're not doing everything perfectly like right now. Like they think about doing live videos or they think about doing something else, but then it's like they stop because it's not perfect. But I encourage everybody to keep your list going of just what's that one thing you want to do differently next time to help you be more successful. And I think that's really important. All right. So thanks for sharing that. Also, I want to add with what Loretta said, if you're part of any director groups or owner groups or LinkedIn groups, now's the perfect time to share the show out and say, hey, Julie's on talking about staff motivation. Make sure you come on and join us. So we'd love to really benefit people who are in pain, especially with some of the issues that we're talking about. And staff motivation is still one of the super problems in the childcare industry. I mean, it is huge because if you don't have a really great team in place, or if you have a lot of turnover going on, you're going to be feeling it with your clients as well. So, Loretta, we want to talk tonight a little bit. I know you're going to just be on with us for maybe about another 15 minutes, but I want to talk about demotivation. I want to get into that with you, but I also want to share with everybody what's going on over there where you're at. And you're in Virginia Beach, right?
I am. Not for
And
long, it looks like.
well, and you just moved into your tiny house not too long ago. And if anybody's following Loretta's journey, I know she's got her own Facebook page up about the lily pad. And, you know, it's just been an amazing journey. And now you're preparing because they're calling for a huge storm to hit, right?
Yes, Florence is coming, and she may not make direct landfall here, but they are definitely talking about the catastrophic flooding. And because we've had so much rain from the after effects of Gordon, all of the ground is already saturated. So they're very worried about trees coming down and large spread power outages. So I just as we were logging on, just got the city of Chesapeake sent me the message that schools are closed starting tomorrow. So I've got to go back to school, make sure things are unplugged, and I've got to get the word out to parents. So lots of things to do, and I've got to move my tiny house. So
Oh my goodness. So are you moving your house tonight?
not tonight. The plan is Wednesday, but now if they're kicking everybody out, I may have to bump that up. So I've got a couple of options. I made a reservation 3 hours inland, but I might switch that and just head due north and go to like Delaware or New Jersey or something, because they're not supposed to get anything. So we'll
Oh my
see.
goodness.
I know, it's an
Well,
adventure.
you're definitely welcome to come here and park in my driveway.
Right? I think Ohio comes first, though, so I don't know that I wouldn't make it that far.
Right, right. Oh my goodness. Well, prayers are being sent to you by
Thank you.
many of our members as well as myself. And I want to talk about one little concept and one idea. And you're probably entertaining this, Loretta, but so many times we could freak out because somebody says a storm's coming, or because somebody says licensing is coming, or because there's a certain situation going on in our childcare program. So I thought this would be a really perfect segue just to talk about some strategies that you can utilize based on the universal laws to keep yourself safe, to keep your property safe in spite of. And I really believe that we can create our own reality. I believe that we can add like a shield, a protection around things or around ourselves or whatever's happening. And I've seen pictures of you bubble wrapping, you know, different glassware and different things saying, getting the bubble wrap out and ready to go. But I also want you to think about how can you use your mind to add a layer of safety around the situation that you really desire to transpire. So how can you help it with what you're thinking about in your mind to be a situation that you would truly desire? Because so often when the panic sets in, and yes, we have to be prepared for the worst, but how can we add a layer of visualization for the best possible outcome in any situation? And this is an important motivational strategy, but it's also based on the law of attraction. And there was a book that was written many years ago that I first read. It's called Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. And it talked about, in the book, I forgot who the author is, but she shares an example of how the trees in her neighborhood were being cut down. And I may have shared this with you before, maybe at one of our live events, but she had all these trees in the neighborhood and they were being cut down, and she was really sad about this. And she was watching the trees across the street being cut down, and she's just like, you know what? I'm just going to add a layer of visualization protection to the situation to see if it can make any kind of difference. So she visualized her trees being safe and strong and making it through, and just being alive and being present in the situation. And she said that by the time they got to her trees, they didn't cut them down for some reason. So it's like everybody else's trees in the neighborhood were cut down except for hers. And she says, this just proved to her that there's power in your thoughts to bring about a certain reality if you tap into them strongly enough. So just as we're preparing for the worst with all the bubble wrap and all the glassware, some things that I do is I actually physically visualize. So I visualize myself like physically putting bubble wrap. Like if I'm traveling somewhere, I take big bubbles and protect my house, or I take big bubbles and just protect whatever it is I'm flying in. So I do these visual activities just to really help me see the result that I want to experience, but in my mind. So instead of playing into what everybody says is going to be happening, I turn it around into a whole different reality for myself. So if I'm they say there's something going on in the neighborhood, there were thieves 4 doors down, put a big plastic bubble around my house, big plastic bubble around myself. I coat myself with safety, with love. And it's just amazing how secure I feel when I do that. But yet I also feel very safe in my reality because I think that I attract really good situations and people to myself. So Loretta, are you doing anything like that to prepare mentally, or would you consider it?
Well, absolutely, I would consider it. Being someone of faith, I think for me that helps most of all, because I know in whom I trust, in whom I believe. Even if everything around me were to fall, I know that there's a plan out there. So I'm able to rest easy in that. It doesn't mean that I'm not planning for things and trying to look at different options of, hey, should I go inland 3 hours? Should I go north 5 hours? Which would be the best solution for this challenge that's before me? But I have a wonderful support system. I have a lot of people that I can call and talk to and just say, okay, I have lots of choices. Not one of them is perfect. So help me weigh this out. That way I'm not having to make all the decisions, even though it's mine in the end. It's really helpful for me to be able to kind of talk that through. But then as well, just knowing that I can pray at any moment, and I just have that attitude of prayer. And then I'm surrounded by kids, which, I mean, the Bible says to have childlike faith. And I'll tell you what, I almost cried this morning listening to them pray. In my classroom, we use little rocks with names on it. So we put Florence's name on a rock and they passed the rock around the circle and they were praying. And little 5-year-olds saying, dear Jesus, please make the storm go away. But sometimes I know you say no. And if you say no, it's okay. But we just want you to keep us safe. And I'm like, oh my word, they're so little and they have such bigger faith than all of us. So, I mean, that to me just lifts me up.
And you know why they have such bigger faith than all of us? It's because they are really connected with their imagination. And I talk about the imagination piece of this all the time, but you've got to be able to use your imagination to see the desired outcome of what you want to transpire. So even though we're in prayer, even though we're asking, still in your mind's eye, visualize. And what did
Absolutely.
Mindy says here? Let's see a couple of these comments for us here. Mindy says, love the rock idea.
Oh,
Awesome.
oh yes. Oh my goodness. It's the best.
Oh, and here's another one from Mindy. And she said she had staff visualize. They put bubble wrap around a child because he got hit too many times. Is that what she said? I might have to put my
Oh yeah.
glasses
Oh,
on.
those biters. Oh yes, Mindy.
Oh, we
Absolutely.
got bit too many times. Okay. So yeah, so we could actually visualize and protect. And I've shared that bubble wrap story. But it's always thinking about what's the outcome I want and can I visualize that? And then not only visualize it, but then play with your imagination. So you start imagining what you really want to come into fruition. And that's really, I think, being childlike is getting back to that place where you can use your imagination.
Mhm.
And I always think about playing with Ken and Barbie as a little kid, where it's like, oh, the best possible thing is going to happen to these two. They're going to get married in a castle and drive away in their bright, shiny car, and they're going to eat the best foods. It's not like
Have
here's
the
Ken and
best
Barbie, and now they go
clothes.
out, right? So it's not like here they go out in their car with a broken wheel or whatever it is. It's like we're always imagining and visualizing and playing with the best scenarios. And that's what we could start doing in our childcare programs too, and in our lives, is really just tying in that visualization piece along with imagination. So I'm going to visualize it for you, Loretta.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to have an adventure no matter what. Even if I don't move a foot, I will have an adventure. I mean, it's going to be awesome. But, we're looking at possibly taking the tiny house on a ferry. I mean, how cool would that be? So, who knows?
Just, all I'll say is this, take lots of pictures.
Oh, I will.
Take lots of pictures. Yes. And Loretta can come back and post her link for her tiny home so that you can follow her. If Jonna has that, she could post it also. But I want to also encourage everybody, if you're not yet a member of our Childcare Business Success Group, I think we are 3 people away from having 1,000 community members. Woo!
Awesome.
So make sure, if you're not yet a community member, that you are over there. And once you're active and engaged, that could put you in the running to win our marketing video for the week. And we'd love to have you over there at our international community. And we're actually working right now on something really special that we're going to be launching probably within the next 30 days before the Create My Dream Team experience.
Ooh.
And I'm really excited to share that. So yeah. So Jonna, please make sure you post that link so that people can hop on over to the community if they're not yet a member of that. So Loretta, let me hide this comment here. Let's see here.
So, Julie.
Uh-oh. Yes.
I don't know. You said so, Loretta. So I thought so, Julie.
So Julie. Oh. I thought you were going to ask me something like, who's this guy I'm posting on my Facebook page? No, I don't know.
I could. I mean, we could go that direction.
Well, it's funny. I was reaching out to community members last week to say, hey, what's your challenges? How can we further help you? And one of the questions I got was, hey, Julie, I want to know something. Who's that dude?
Oh,
so, and you're all invited to follow me on my personal page if you're not yet connected with me. I'd love to have that connection with you, and then you'll find out who the dude is. But, well, maybe. I don't think I've said it very clearly yet, but, in the future. So tonight, Loretta, we want to talk just for a little bit while I still have you here about staff demotivation.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe you could help just facilitate a couple questions that come to the top of your mind about demotivation. But when it comes to staff demotivation, let me just type it in here. I'm going to type in one second, just typing up a little screen thing. And if you're watching this and you have questions or comments regarding staff motivation, go ahead and type those in, and I'll try to monitor those as well so that I can answer your questions. And if you want to join me live in the studio after Loretta checks out, please let us know that you're willing to join us live with your video camera.
Where did you go?
Am I back? Can you see me, Loretta? Am I good?
You are good. Did
Okay.
you disappear for a minute?
Okay, I know, live shows. But if you're here and you would like to join me live in the studio, it's not so scary, right, Loretta? It's not that
No,
bad.
it's not scary at all.
It's not scary. You can even use your phone. You can even use your video camera and your microphone. If you'd like to join me live for an impromptu conversation about staff demotivation, to put yourself in the hot seat a little bit, this is a perfect time for that. And I really want to make this show about staff motivation. I'm going to do more and more and more of these where it's just really me talking about the things that we do with our clients so that you can get some transformational results happening. And I believe that what demotivates your staff is just as important, if not more important, than understanding what motivates your staff. Because so often for the past 20 years, I've gotten calls from all over the world saying, Julie, what else do I need to do to have a motivated team? And Loretta, is there anything that comes to the top of your mind? I know you've been at several live events with us and you've watched the transformations happen. Is there anything that comes to your mind as something that you know our audience will benefit from knowing about staff motivation or staff demotivators?
Boy, I think the most important thing is that if you have a staff that you are considering to be demotivated, it absolutely is possible for that to turn around. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you are the person that will turn it around, because it does have to come from within, but you are the catalyst for that change, and what you do is going to start that change and that process for your entire team. But it absolutely is possible to change that.
Ooh, I like that. I think so too. And so often we accept it as an industry standard where we say it's just not possible. So one of the first things that you've got to do, and if you're taking some notes, I encourage you to write on your piece of paper really large, it's possible. And that you're going to start believing in the possibilities. And even though it may not be possible for the childcare program down the street, I never want you to rule it out as something that is possible for you. And that's the same thing that we were talking about with the storm happening. Even though everything else might get destroyed, Loretta's neighbors' houses or whatnot, I really believe that it is still possible for hers to be the house that pulls through the storm, in spite of what the next door neighbor's house looks like. And it's not that I'm thinking that we have to compare ourselves, but I also want you to really take responsibility for your life and for the results that you get. And we don't want to say, well, everybody's going through this and nobody has a motivated staff, or nobody can pay the industry high enough. And I really find that motivation at the core root of what motivation is has less to do with what we pay people and more to do with the workplace culture that we cultivate. Now, salary and what we pay people is important, but we can't be saying it is the top thing. We've got to be paying competitively, but then there are other factors that come into play. Right?
Absolutely.
All right. So what do we want these people to know about staff demotivation?
It only takes one. It only takes one person to start that demotivation process. The things that you were just saying before, and the way that you were saying them about, well, but it's just the way that things are, and it's just, we just can't pay enough. That's coming from that mindset that's already lacking. So you're already living there, and you need to shift that into, boy, we're doing what we can here, and we're so excited because this is what we're able to offer. And we know that as we grow, we're going to be able to offer more, and we're going to be able to offer more and more. And it's just never going to stop because we've got what it takes to be the best. And it's that's in you, and the way that you're thinking through all of the challenges. Life is full of challenges, but even that word challenge, it could stay or go. You got to think about things and shift to the positive.
And for those who know me, know that I love to take that word challenge and transform it into the word opportunity. So we want to take challenge, transform that into opportunity. And one of the things that we do in our campus is that we have a whole opportunity for growth process with a growth form. And we really want to be looking at, okay, just like I want my staff to grow, I also have opportunities for growth in the way that I'm thinking and in the action that I'm taking. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Loretta. And I know you've got to run. So I'm gonna let you go at this point. I'm gonna talk everybody's ear off about staff demotivation and staff motivation. But I want everybody to really understand, and Loretta said something very important, that it's about one person. And I want you to think about this in your organizations. And if you have a comment about this, please leave it in the comment section. But who is that one person who could either start the motivation process or start the demotivation process? Who is that? And when Loretta leaves us and it's just me, I'm going to reveal that answer to you. So I know, a little cliffhanger. So Loretta, I want to wish you all the best. I know you'll be keeping me posted and folks posted through your page. And I'm going to be visualizing the most amazing adventure for you coming up.
Thank you. I can't wait. Take care, everybody.
Bye, Loretta. Thank you so much.
Thank
All right. And Jonna will keep me posted regarding who our winners will be. But remember, we've got a winner this evening for engagement, and then in our community group for, what is it for? Oh, our marketing video. So that will be a lot of fun. Okay, so I left you with a little bit of a cliffhanger, and I want to come back and talk about that. But I also want to remind you, if you're tuning in, remember, we've got a Create My Dream Team experience coming up on October 7th and 8th with an owners only session on the morning of the 9th. And you're invited to come on out and join me. Jonna will post the link for you, but I encourage you to grab a seat. We've got just a few hotel rooms left, but it's going to be a transformational experience, and it's going to give you your blueprint, your step-by-step to help you manage, motivate, retain great staff. And even though it's a step-by-step process, it is not cookie cutter. It is personalized to your specific needs. And I would love to see you out in Boston with me. And if you're in the Boston area, great. But we do have owners and directors traveling in from all across the US to be there with us, to have the experience and to know what it takes to motivate their team. And I want all participants to leave really having that competitive edge of knowing how to tackle this super problem and to have the most motivated staff with lowest turnover. And sometimes there is good turnover that we go through, so I don't want to negate that. But once we get our team to where we need them to be, we should be able to sustain a highly motivated team that will best serve our clients and serve our big vision. So Jonna, please make sure you drop that link in so folks can get registered for the Create My Dream Team experience at the current early bird rate that we have. And I'd love to see you there. So when we think about staff motivation and staff demotivators, my journey started so many years ago. More than 20 years ago, really trying to understand what motivates our staff. And being an employee in corporate America, in 8 short years, I probably had 12 different supervisors, and I really watched them and studied them and said, here's what these managers are doing that motivate us as team members, and here's what they're doing that really suck the motivation right out of us. And I was in retail, I was in childcare, so I had a variety of different positions. And one of my most pivotal moments was when I was managing a retail store. I was first working there and I loved what I was doing. And I was working in retail, and it was the time, was it the late 80s, I think, where all the matching clothes were in. So I worked at this place called ID. And if you heard of ID, you get brownie points because I don't think it was around too long. But basically, the clothing store's name was ID. And it was all about matching from sweaters to pants to socks to earrings to necklaces. So you were like, if it was pastel pink, you were pastel pink head to toe, or baby blue, whatever it might be. But I was managing this store. Actually, I was working, and then one day, regional manager said, hey, you're doing a great job. I think you deserve a promotion. How'd you like to do more of what you love, but now through other people? And I thought to myself for a moment, how would I like that? So I decided to take the promotion, and the next day when I first started that new role at the clothing store ID, I was like, here's a pat on my back, and here's a new place where you could eat your lunch, and that was about it. And then I realized came the responsibility of managing a team. And what was I supposed to do with everybody who was maybe lacking motivation, or like my employee Shannon, who came in, she punched the clock, she started straightening out the clothes rack, and then she looked over at me and said, Julie, I'm hungry. I think I'd like to go get something to eat. And I thought to myself, how do you handle this? An employee punches the clock, punches in, and then she wants to leave and go get something to eat. And she wanted to go to McDonald's. And the only thing I could think about at that time was, well, maybe if you want to go to McDonald's after you punch in, maybe you ought to think about working there. And I said that. And later on now in my wiser years, I'm not judging if what I said was right or wrong, but the really important thing is I didn't have leadership training in terms of motivation. And when I started looking at motivation and what it really was and thinking, how do I motivate this team? And going then into corporate America and then coming back to some of my early roots back into childcare, it was like, what do you do? And how do you sustain motivation? And when I started Googling staff motivation and looking at what does it really mean, the only thing I kept getting was incentives and chocolates and buy these gifts and do this and do that. And I really started digging in deep to understand on a greater level what motivates our employees and what demotivates them. And then when I got back into the childcare industry as a consultant and a coach and a mentor, I started interviewing all the different tiers of employees. So everybody from the cook to the bus driver to the directors, assistant directors, teachers, everybody I would confidentially survey. And to this day, I saw file cabinets filled with all these surveys that I would take just to really get inside people's head to say, okay, you started and you were motivated, and then something happened in the workplace and you lost your motivation. What was it? What was it? So how many of you want to know these keys? If you're tuning in and you want to know what these things are that I discovered demotivate staff, give me an "oh yeah, Julie." And make sure you share the link for the show out so that we can benefit as many directors and owners as we possibly can with this information, because I want to take this super problem of staff motivation and really turn it into something that we all understand. And then at least we can choose whether we're going to implement the strategies that will get us results or not. And of course, my preference is for you to implement the strategies that will get you results. And that's why I really want to help you understand what these demotivators are. All right. And I'll try to check in at the comments, but as you can tell, I get a little excited about the content here. But I'm getting Brandon. Hey, Brandon, nice to see you here. Brandon says, yes, please. All right. Hey, Deidre, my California friend. Nice to see you here. All right. And let's see, Mindy. Hey, Mindy. And Mindy says that's a now fix, not long term. Absolutely. All right. Okay. Just scrolling through comments. Okay, so good stuff. Okay. So when we look at staff motivation, like I've been saying, it's just as important, if not more important, to understand staff demotivation. Staff demotivation happens with what I call communication barriers or staff demotivators. So I use these two terms interchangeably, staff demotivators or communication barriers, because in my 5-step plan of action for managing, motivating, and retaining great staff, all of the demotivation typically happens in the communication part of the plan. And when I work on site with organizations, we could spend 2 days, 3 days just deep diving into communication and how that's impacting morale. So when we look at an organization, we say, well, who's the person who's responsible? All of these demotivators or communication barriers are things that are modeled from the very top of your organization downward. And this is really important to understand. So if you're writing notes, please write down that staff demotivators are all of the things that are modeled from the top of the organization downward. Now, the disadvantage that you have because you get into your crazy busy routine is that you can't sit back and see how one action modeled at the top of your organization has this trickle down effect and impacts so many other things in your workplace. So now what I want to do is just bring you to a place, and I'll share with you what some of these demotivators are. But if you can gain the understanding and swallow the tough pill that, hey, there's some things I need to be doing differently from the top down, you're going to be making great strides already, because there's a lot of leaders, directors and owners, and just leaders in all different industries who get caught in the pride and ego impact of being a leader. So you figure, I'm a leader, I have to have a certain amount of pride, I've got to put my ego out there out front. But the characteristics that are really valuable when you think about leadership today, it's really words of authenticity, transparency, and vulnerability. So please make sure you write those down. And John, if you're writing some notes, please write some of these things down for folks too. But it's all about authenticity, vulnerability, and transparency. Those are your really valuable leadership qualities. And we have to put pride and ego aside. And when I'm doing workshops, a lot of times we write down those words and we draw a big circle around them and then put a line through them to say we really need to let go of our pride and ego because we need to be focusing on what works. And the more transparent and vulnerable you can be as a leader, the more you're going to be inspiring your team to step up to new levels of success. And this involves how you facilitate staff meetings. So if we do an ego-driven staff meeting or a pride-driven staff meeting, we come across as, hey, here's what needs to happen differently. Here's what I need you guys to do. If we're coming across in an authentic, vulnerable, and transparent way, we do something that is totally transformational in a team, totally transformational. And this in itself is worth gold. It is to set a goal for yourself of something you're going to be doing more of or differently over the next 30 days, where you are totally responsible for the goal or the action item, and your team gets to see that in action. And this is a huge transformational step. So demotivation happens when we come in and it's pride and it's ego and here's what you guys need to change. And you find that you're giving everybody the same lecture 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 10 times, 20 times. I've said it 100 times and they're still not changing. Have you ever been there? So now the transformational approach is to go at it from a perspective of, here's what I have not done effectively as your leader. Here's what I'm going to be doing differently going forward over the next 30 days. And when you get to the place where you're setting this right goal or this good leadership goal, then you're going to start seeing transformation happen in your team. And this right here is worth $1 million, what I'm sharing with you, because it's going to put your profitability back into your pocket and it's going to help you retain a motivated team. So drop pride and ego, focus on authenticity, being transparent, being vulnerable. And if you could take this one action step of setting a goal that's in alignment with your top demotivators. Now you might be saying, wait a second, Julie, but I don't even know what my top demotivators are. You may not, and I'll help you gain some clarity on that a little bit in the time that we have left. But remember, these are all things that are modeled from the top down that have a chain reaction, a destructive chain reaction of events that follow suit. So if you need to get clarity and you're very clueless as to what these demotivators are, I encourage you to shoot a comment through to Jana and let her know you need to get on Julie's calendar so we can talk through some of these demotivators, because they are all very personalized. And I'll give you a few examples, but we've got a list of about 25 to 30 of these that we'll be sharing at the Create My Dream Team experience. So make sure that you're registered for that, because this stuff is really good. This stuff is the stuff that transforms workplaces. And this is why I wanted to share it with you tonight. All right, let me check in here and see what comments we have going on. So Mindy says, yep. And Jana's taking a few notes for you there. Thank you. Yep, Stephanie, thank you. Authenticity and vulnerability will lead to motivation. Absolutely. All right, I'm just checking in here. Critical to work on being humble, says Brandon. And I got an oh yeah from Diana. Nice to see you here. All right. Okay, then we've got more from Mindy. Okay, great. Remember, we've got an engagement prize going on. Whoever's the most engaged member this evening gets some of the yummiest brownies on the planet. And also make sure you join our community group because if you are in there, you have the opportunity to win our weekly prize, which is our video marketing. So let's take a look next. And if you've got questions regarding what I'm sharing, please write them in the comment section. And even if I don't answer them during this show, I will come back and respond to those because I really want you to be the childcare program who knows how to transform their workplace. And to me, because I've been teaching this for so long, it's like the steps are very simple, but yet it takes mindset shifts to really put the right thing into place. So you've got to be setting the right goal that's in alignment with your top demotivators, And the demotivators are so critically important to understand. So the demotivators, again, are the things that are modeled from the top down. And I'll give you another hint with the demotivators before I share a few of them with you. They are also things that require you to be and to function at a higher level than you're currently functioning now. So to me, when we talk about getting leadership right, leadership is really more about doing and less about being. So we have to be being correct first and then follow up with the right things to do. But so many times it's about doing. And we're so busy putting out fires because we're doing. So it's like we've got to take a step back and say, okay, what are the most effective things that I could be first to see a different result in my team? And even if you're modeling the one thing that you want them to do differently over and over again, it might also be a chain reaction from a different staff demotivator or communication barrier that's in place that's causing you to see that destructive impact. So what I'm teaching you has to do more with cause and effect as opposed to putting Band-Aid solutions on things or shooting in the dark. So a lot of times we're just taking a guess like, oh, maybe donuts on Friday will motivate my staff. That doesn't motivate your team. Will it temporarily make them happy or put a smile on their face or give them a little sugar buzz? Absolutely. But what we have to do is really understand that it's about being. And who are we being? And once you elevate yourself to a certain place of being, you're going to transform all the dysfunction, all the drama, all the gossip, all the negativity that you're currently attracting into your life. So I challenge you to keep up leveling who you're being, and you're going to start seeing a whole different set of reality, a whole different set of circumstances unfolding in front of you. Make sense? Okay. Follow-up is critical. I love having staff that hold me accountable for my goals. Thanks, Mindy. That's really important. So remember, it's about being. So who can you be? A lot of times what we need to be in our childcare program so that we can experience greater levels of success has to do with communication and how are we communicating and your own self-confidence levels. And when we look at the cause and effect, meaning what demotivates our staff, we also have to look at what is the most destructive thing that's going on in the workplace. And a lot of times people can come to me, and these things that are the effect is what I call the symptoms. And so often we're looking at the effects or we're looking at the symptoms and we're trying to put Band-Aids on those things. Have you ever put Band-Aids on something? All right. If you have, let me know here. I'm going to hide this comment. But a lot of times we're looking and then we're just putting Band-Aids over things. So now it's about pulling those Band-Aids off and saying, okay, what is the root cause of the symptom? And I'm going to treat that. So instead of just treating gossip, negativity, drama, call-outs, tardiness, turnover, instead of just treating those things with Band-Aid, we're going to say, isn't it interesting that I'm creating these circumstances in my workplace? What is the root cause of these things evolving? Because these things are my stressors. These things are the things that need to be fixed or that I need to change. But how do I really back up the formula, so to speak, so that I'm treating the root cause so that this one thing, the gossip, the drama, the negativity totally dissipates? Does this make sense? And again, if there's something unclear about this, please leave me a comment, leave me a question. So the root cause is critical. Thank you, Brandon. Absolutely. So it's getting to the root. So it's cause and effect. And effect is also a symptom. And I know from when you go to the doctor, you don't also, just want your doctor to treat the symptom, right? You want them to give you a solution, a cure, something that's going to make it go away. Because oftentimes we find that if we're just treating the symptom, it's like the medication that we take for one symptom, it causes something else to become worse. And it's the same thing in our workplace. When we're treating a symptom, something becomes worse, 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 and worse, and worse, and worse, and worse, because we're not really getting to the root cause. And my father has these issues. My dad has problems with diabetes and cholesterol and different things. And he takes one medication for some of his symptoms. And then that medication interacts with a different medication he's on or causes a whole different set of symptoms. And he's got all of these problems. And now it's so hard to identify what is the root cause. And that same thing is going on in our childcare programs. So what I want to do is make the process simple for you so that you could say, okay, here's what the root cause is. And I used to challenge myself when I would come on site and work privately with teams to understand what the symptoms are and then be able to get to the root cause in record time and even be able to guess or intuitively look at, well, what is the root cause? And then share that. It would be amazing. People go, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. And this is what we want to look at our Create My Dream Team experience coming up is what are all the symptoms that we're experiencing and what is the demotivator that's causing that symptom. So I'm hoping you're getting this, that it's all about the demotivator and then what the cause is, what the cause, right? The cause is the demotivator, and then the effect or the symptom is what we're seeing. So a lot of times we're spending time talking about the wrong things in our workplace. We're talking about staff who gossip or staff who are tardy, and what are we going to do about it? And how are we going to change this and change that? What I would really encourage you to start talking about and having conversations about is, all right, this is the symptom that we're seeing. Now, what's the root cause? And how do we talk about that? And how do we deal with that from a leadership perspective? So it's a whole different set of conversations we need to be having so that we can really, truly get to that workplace culture that we desire. So what do workplace demotivators look like? What are they, Julie? I've identified, like I said, I think there's 25 or 30 of them that are very common in the childcare industry. I want to share with you some examples so that you can see if they are things that you relate to. Sound good? Okay. Okay, I'm reading comments. Okay. So one of the staff demotivators that comes up a lot is when, ready? I almost feel like I need a drum roll here because I'm going to reveal some of these to you, is when leaders, so when our directors, our owners make general announcements. So that is a demotivator. Okay. So I want you to imagine in your workplace that one person has a behavioral change. One person has something that needs to be changed, but the leader, the director, the owner doesn't necessarily want to have that direct confrontation with that person. So instead of having that direct confrontation, they think that everybody needs to be reminded of the policy. So they put together a general announcement or a memo, type it up, remind everybody about the policy, and then send it out to everybody. That's one way a general announcement takes place. Another way that a general announcement takes place is that during a staff meeting. Perhaps, it's still that one or two people, they're on their cell phones at a certain time when they shouldn't be. So you decide instead of addressing those people directly, having your one-on-ones with them, you're going to make a general announcement at your staff meeting to talk about that policy, to talk about that issue again. So that is the cause. The general announcement is the cause. The effects or the symptoms, and if you could guess what some of those are, please write them down in the comments. But the symptoms that you're going to be seeing could be things like blaming each other, because when we make a general announcement, people start looking around for, well, who's she talking to about? It can't be me. It also prevents people who need to make constructive change happen from making that change happen. So maybe you have employees who are poor performers, but we're not coaching them. We're not giving them the attention that they need so that they could quickly become or move from a poor performer to a valued member of the team. We're not structuring their performance plan of action to help them grow. And that's really what your role is in this industry, is to help your people grow. Think about every piece of feedback you give to your staff as water. You're watering that flower so that it can grow. It's the same thing that you're doing with your staff, is that you want to be watering them and, giving them that feedback. And sometimes it might be direct. Sometimes it might be encouragement. Sometimes it might be praise, but so that they can grow. And again, this requires you to up-level your mindset, because you've got to be okay with people not liking you, because sometimes it might happen. And my clients will tell me all the time, Julie, I have a love-hate relationship with you. Sometimes I just really love you and I hate the things that you say, but doggone it, they help me grow. And that's what I want you to think about yourself as, is that you're not there to get validation from your staff. You are there to help your people grow. So in this case that I've been sharing with you, general announcements is the cause. The effect could be blame, resentment, gossip. Oh, well, she's not talking about me, so who is she talking about? So all different kinds of things can come out of this one scenario. So if you're relating to this, give me an oh yeah. And whoops. Hang on here. I don't know if I froze. Did I freeze? 1 second, I'm rebooting if you're tuning in with me. Okay, I'm back. I don't know where you lost me at, but we're going to be wrapping up the show in just a couple moments anyway. So where did you lose me at? So John, if you could let me know where folks may have, what was the last thing you heard me say? And then we'll go from there. Okay. Okay. All right. So I won't worry too much about it. When you asked for an oh yeah. Oh my goodness. How long ago was that, Jana? Was I frozen for a while? No lost aspect there. Okay. I don't know where you lost me. Can you give me a little bit more, Jana, in terms of the oh yeah? Oh, Jana says I wasn't frozen at all. Okay, because I did have to reboot and then come back on. So I'm not sure. Okay. But I'm hoping that you heard that. So did everybody hear that about the general announcements and how that's the cause, and that the real effect is the drama, or the cause, and then the symptom that you would see, or the impact, is the drama, negativity, gossip, all that kind of stuff. We got it all. Okay, Jana says we got it all. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Deidre. I was totally frozen. So I was like, oh no, where did I leave off? All right, so that is one example. So again, we're looking at cause and then effect. Your cause is the communication barrier. It is the demotivator. And you really got to put yourself in employees' place. They come into your workplace, they are motivated, they're excited, but we've had employees who leave after 1 week in tears because of what was going on in the workplace culture. And if you are going to fix this, if you're going to change this, this has to become something that you as a leader put these 2 words into practice. And these 2 words are, I'm responsible. You've really got to look at the workplace that you have cultivated, the climate that you've cultivated, and say, I'm responsible. Then you've got to understand what the demotivators are. Make your list of your top 20. And if you're coming out to the Create My Dream Team experience, we're going to be focusing heavily on these demotivators. But if you're looking at these things, you prioritize your list and you set a goal and you communicate that goal to your team. This is an equation for transformation to happen in itself. It is huge and it is powerful. So if you have questions for me, please leave them in our comments. And Jana, if we've got winners for tonight and you'd like to shoot them over to me via Facebook, I will check there in just a moment. We are going to wrap up very soon. But yes, I'm responsible. All right. So when we think about another communication barrier, while I'm waiting for John to get to me the prize winners, think about other things like, okay, I'll give you some more examples. Okay. So another communication barrier or staff demotivator is communication gaps. So anytime there's a gap in communication, that becomes a demotivator. And it almost becomes like this baggage that people start to carry with them, thinking about how they were mistreated or something was happening. And it just becomes something that they start to carry with them. And that causes a whole series of symptoms to start playing out in the workplace. So the cause is the communication gap. The symptom or the impact is going to be, the drama, negativity, people feeling like they're not worthwhile, all of those kind of things. Another big staff demotivator or communication barrier is lack of new staff orientation. This one is huge. So if we have staff members who come in and they're just thrown into the fire, thrown into the wolves, so to speak, we're not going to be able to sustain motivation within those people because they're going to feel judged. So the symptom is staff members judging other staff members. And I often hear this, Julie, I have my older staff or my more seasoned staff who judge the new staff coming in. But this is why they do it, is because we don't have that new staff orientation process in place to where it's really strong and uniting our team, which is the constructive thing. Instead, it happens that it is dividing our team, and then that leads to demotivation. All right, I'm going to check in and see who the winners are. If you've got any questions, please leave them for me. I hope this has benefited you greatly. Please share it out. Even after we wrap up, I'll come back and check comments. But I really want you to understand that what demotivates our staff is really important to grasp. It's really important to grasp. And this can help you build your whole plan of action in and of itself. And if you want more on this or want a little personalized attention, please leave a comment and tell Jonna that you'd like to get on my calendar, and we'll get you in for a 10 or 15-minute discussion so that we can help you clarify your plan and make some great strides going forward. All right, I'm going to peek over here onto Facebook and see who our winners might be. Ooh, really, Jonna? Okay. All right. So for our brownies for this evening, I want to say congratulations to somebody who's going to get some of the yummiest brownies on the planet. Mindy Olson, congratulations. You get our brownies for tonight. Kudos. And for our video marketing prize, and we'll maybe be making an announcement on that in the group page, it is Sarah Booten. So Sarah, congratulations. You get our video marketing prize, and you'll see a sample of that in the group. And if you're not yet a group member, please make sure you click on the link that John has provided and come on over and be a part of the group. And if you're not yet registered for our Create My Dream Team experience, all you have to do is go to rockmychildcare.com, like rock my baby, and secure your seat today so that you can come and spend time with me and really understand what these demotivators are, so you walk away with your step-by-step plan of action for managing, motivating, and retaining great staff. Was this a good show? Did you get something out of it? If you did, please let me know that you enjoyed the content or any questions that you have. And again, please love. It helps other people see this, and share it out. Let others know that we're here tackling the super problem of staff motivation. And like Loretta said when we first started, she's seen the transformations happen of our clients, and it could so be you who experiences the next transformation. All right. I'm going to wrap up. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Leave your questions, leave your comments. I will stick around to answer some of those things after we wrap up. But tune in next week, 6 o'clock, for our Childcare Business Success Show. And if there's a topic you'd like to see me cover, please make sure you leave that in the comments as well. Have a fantastic evening, everyone. Be safe. And I hope that you really create the dreamy life for yourself, the life that you desire, and most importantly, the life that you deserve. Pay attention to your desires. They're pointing you in the direction that will bring every dreamy circumstance to you. I'm Julie Bartkus, Workplace Transformationalist, best-selling author of Childcare Business Success, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you this evening. I'll see y'all soon.